Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasyadilakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam, and a very warm welcome to this evening's special program, Glimpses of Nithyananda Yogacharya Training. Today we are celebrating the concluding day of the world's ultimate yoga teacher training program. You're going to see what exactly sets Nithyananda Yoga apart. This is not the kind of yoga class you'll experience at a fitness club or a gym. This is the kind of yoga experience that was enjoyed by the ancient divine beings of the Vedas and the Agamas. This is the original yoga from the source, as first revealed to humanity by none other than the Adi Yogi, Mahasadashiva himself. So get ready for the most amazing yoga experience ever to appear live online. Glimpses of Nithyananda Yogacharya Training. Nithyanandam.
Yoga's become an $80 billion industry, incorporating everything you could think of from animals to food. And everyone is looking to get their share, be it through expensive apparel or sponsored Instagram posts. This might look fashionable and harmless, but what you don't understand is the detrimental effects it has on your consciousness. When you're practicing authentic yoga, you're working with an independent intelligence, a science to awaken the inner potential energy within you. When you add your own twist to yoga, it changes this internal process and brings a different effect on your physiology, psychology, and neurology. Some people practice yoga to build a strong physique, for the healing of an ailment, or for relieving stress and anxiety. However, throughout the years, the original source of yoga has been lost, and the entire science has been diluted. Many of the traditional yogic asanas and their context have completely disappeared from the mainstream practice. Yoga is not just about asanas, but aligning the body to the cosmic geometry and experiencing different states and dimensions. To miss this context is missing the whole purpose of yoga. Adi Yogi, Sadashiva, is the creator of yoga. He delivered the original yogic scriptures through the Vedas and Agamas as a way to experience the ultimate through our bodies. After the revelation of yoga by Sadashiva himself, great yogis and sadhus practiced yoga to acquire the best physique and physiology to manifest the state and powers of Sadashiva. This is authentic yoga. Agoris, sadhus, sannyasis have always exemplified the yogic powers and demonstrated incredible feats. As recently as a few centuries back, powerful yogis roamed the earth shamelessly showcasing these powers. However, an unknown enemy violently attacked the very foundation of Hinduism. Fueled by the desire for power and control, strategic acts of pillaging, mass starvation, and cultural genocide cheated the modern Hindu into believing their own history as mythology. Today, we live in a society where child obesity has become accepted, cancer is almost anticipated, and depression and suicide is at an all-time high. This is a distant sight from the peak of human potential described in the Vedas and Agamas. Paramahamsa Nithyananda, the cosmos itself, landed as a lightning bolt and revived the authentic yoga from the source. He is taking humans and making them superhumans with yogic bodies meant for manifesting powers. For the first time, Swamiji is reintroducing the Shastra Pramanas and reviving the purest form of yoga. He has already collected, preserved, translated, and delivered to the world many of the original yogic scriptures which were virtually inaccessible. He is the only being teaching yoga based on authentic Hindu Shastras, and it is the only yoga for manifesting Shaktis, the amazing powers of Sadashiva. As a lifelong yogi and avatar, Swamiji is able to give an experiential understanding to his disciples by transmitting the state and space of a yogi. With 2 world records in Shivastambha Yoga and Kundalini Raju Yoga, he is taking the world of yoga by storm. He has published 108 plus Nitya Kriyas, 900 plus yogic asanas, 300 plus yogic techniques, 600 meditation techniques, and much more. He has tens of thousands of initiated yogis worldwide. He continues to give breakthroughs to all his disciples by initiating them into new yogic powers. His vision is to make Nithyananda Yoga the certifying authority on yoga as per the Vedic scriptures, to bring authenticity back to the practice. He will have thousands of Nithyananda Yoga acharyas ordained to share this authentic science with the world. And to verify everything with Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana, he intends to build the world's largest library of yogic techniques authenticated by the yogic scriptures. He is establishing yoga as a powerful science to explore your possibilities, manifest Shaktis, and explore the 25 states of consciousness and 11 dimensions of the universe.
Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Yekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam. Now we are going to start the Shivastambha Yoga and Kundalini Raj Yoga demonstration by the current batch Nithyananda Yoga Teachers Training participants. We'll start this ritual of Kundalini Raj Yoga and Shivastambha Yoga with the performance of Achamanam. Please take one Uddharani of water in your right hand and drink the water along with the chanting of the mantra internally. Om Atmatattvam Shodhayami Svadha. Please take another Uddharani of water and drink the water along with the chanting of the mantra internally. Vidya Tattvam Shodhayami Svadha. Another Uddharani of water. Shiva Tattvam Shodhayami Svadha. Please wash off your right hand. With the base of your right hand thumb, wipe your upper and lower lips from the right hand side to the left hand side twice along with the chanting of the mantra Om Ham Hridayaya Namaha. Wash off your right hand. With the tip of your right hand, index, middle and ring fingers joined together, touch little above your upper lips, below your lower lips. With the tip of your right hand thumb and the index finger joined together, touch your right nostril, left nostril. With the tip of your right hand thumb and the ring finger joined together, touch your right eye, right ear, left ear. Wash off your right hand. With the base of your right hand thumb and the little finger joined together, touch your navel, your right chest, your left chest. With all the fingers of your right hand joined together, touch the crown of your head, your right shoulder, left shoulder and your heart center. Now, let us enter into the Sankalpa, the creation of conscious will to enter into this experience of the ritual of Shivastambha Yoga and Kundalini Raj Yoga. Om Mamopata Samasta Duritakshaya Dvara श्री सद्गुरु प्रीत्यर्थम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी आदिशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर महासदाशिव प्रीत्यर्थम श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूप सद्गुरु नित्यानंद स्वामी कृपा कटाक्षेण पूर्ण आरोग्ययुक्त दृढ़गात्र यौगिक शरीर सिद्ध्यर्थम सदाशिव शक्ति आविष्करणार्थम सकुटुंबस्य ज्ञान वैराग्य जीवन मुक्ति प्राप्त्यर्थम नित्यानंद शिव स्तंभ योगाभ्यासम नित्यानंद कुंडलिनी रज्जु योगाभ्यासं च करिष्ये. आप उपस्पृश्य wash off your hands. Now we can enter into the ritual of Nityananda Kundalini Raj Yoga. उत्थानपादं क्रौञ्चं च मरीचिं वीरभद्रकं नटराजं त्रिकोणं च सुप्ताङ्गष्ठप्रतारणे. उत्थानपादं क्रौञ्चं च मरीचिं वीरभद्रकं नटराजं त्रिकोणं च सुप्ताङ्गष्ठप्रतारणे. पगथली सम ठहरावे तिनकी माहिली कोर मिलावे फणा पानी उकड़ होय बैसे येड़ी दोव जोनि निवैसे गोड़ा दोवु भूमि लगावे सम शरीर नीका ठहरावे हस्त दोवु गोड़ा परि राखे नासा दृष्टि अचल करि दाखे. शयनं शववद्भूमौ शयनन्तु शवासनं शवासनं श्रान्तिहरं चित्तविश्रान्तिकारकम् प्रसार्यपादौ भुवि दण्डरूपौ करौ च पृष्ठे धृतपादयुग्मं कृत्वा धनुस्तुल्य विवर्तिताङ्गं निगद्य योगी धनुरासनं तत् एतत्पद्मासनं कुर्यात् प्राणवायुप्रसिद्धये शुभासनं सदा ध्यायेत् पूरयित्वा पुनः पुनः ऊरुमूले वामपादं पुनस्तद्दक्षिणं पदं वामोरौ स्थापयित्वा च पद्मासनमिति स्मृतम् ज्वालीपावासनं पूरवचरपट चौक कह्यो सोई वाही विधियो की जी सोई यामे येडी भिन्न जुराशे अंगुल 8 आंतरो राशे
सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
उत्तानपादं क्रौञ्चं च मरीचिं वीरभद्रकं नटराजं त्रिकोणं च सुप्ताङ्गष्ठप्रसारणे इति सुप्तपादाङ्गुष्ठासनम् शेते करयुग्मवक्षो भूमिम् अवष्टभ्य करयोस्तलाभ्यां पादौ च शून्ये च वितस्ति चोर्ध्वं वदन्ति पीठं शलभं मुनीन्द्राः
Bombay style, it's not a name only, it's a bloody brand.
घोड़ा दोऊ आड़ा शेडाऊ पाद दछ जंघ दाशे फणो जीमण भूपरि धरे येडी सम्यक ऊंची करे वाम पग थली महिली कोर में के दक्षिण पीड़ी वोर डावू गुलफ माहिली जोई अर दक्षिण वार लव सोई पार्वती आसनम ताड़ासनं महामुद्राबद्धकोणौ ताड़ासन विभेदकान् विनोत्तानं सदा कुर्यात् अन्तर्वत्नी पतिप्रिया पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांतिः हरिः ओम तत्सत् सर्वं सद्गुरुपादुकार्पणमस्तु ओम नित्यानन्दम्
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyanandam,
Nithyanandam,
we hope you all greatly enjoyed that amazing demonstration of Nithyananda Shiva Stamba Yoga and Nithyananda Kundalini Raju Yoga. It's my honor and privilege today to introduce you to one of my absolute best friends, spiritual sisters, and the head of the Nithyananda Yoga Department, Ma Nitya Yogananda Swami. I'll never forget the first time I met Ma Yoga Swami. She and I were together in a program called Living Enlightenment Process back in 2010. And all of us knew there was something very, very special about her. She was a young girl from Miami, Florida, typical Western seeker who discovers Swamiji. Just like when you see somebody come into the Adinam, they know that there's something incredible about the avatar, His Holiness Paramahamsa Shri Nithyananda. You can see their eyes light up at the sight of him. But they're still acclimatizing to what it is to be in India. I remember, despite the fact that she was in Western clothes most of the time, despite the fact that she was so new to Swamiji, she carried herself like a local. And why she had such a natural, innate predisposition towards Sanatana Hindu Dharma, towards life here in Adi Kailasha, became revealed one day when Swamiji was leading us into a past life regression meditation. During that session, he gave us a very amazing instruction out of the Shastra to catch time on the tip of our nose and see glimpses of our previous lifetimes flash in our inner space. He gave the instruction, the moment we see something flash, to raise our hands and to share with everyone what we had seen. And different people around the hall were raising their hands, sharing what they had seen, when suddenly Swamiji got so excited. He himself started jumping in his chair, saying, Ma, did you see this? Then he pointed to Ma Yoga Swami, who was then not yet named Ma Yoga Swami, and he said, you, in the red t-shirt, did you see what I just saw? And she said, I don't know, Swamiji. And he revealed to all of us that she's been with him before. And he gave her such a mystical instruction to go to Tiruvannamalai, sit in the Arunachaleshwara temple, and experience. She followed that Guru Vak, of course. And since then, it's come known to all of us here in Nithyananda Sangha that Ma Yoga Swami has not only been with Swamiji in a past life, but she was there with the Adi Yogi himself, Mahasadashiva, when he first brought yoga to planet Earth as one of his first yoginis. We might look at her and see a great, I think that deserves a round of applause. We might look at her and see a beautiful sannyasini, someone who is living Tyaga, standing strong with her conscious decision to support the mission of the greatest avatar ever to land in human body on planet Earth. But I feel very personally humbled to share the seat with her because I know in my heart from my experience from the times I'm there to enjoy her yoga sessions, she herself is also someone who landed as an incarnation in her own right, ready to support Swamiji's mission to revive the original yoga from the source, the yoga of the Agamas, the yoga Mahasadashiva first brought here, that she was also a part of and that she's a part of now. So Ma Yoga Swami, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's the conclusion day of Nithyananda Yogacharya training, and we just saw something amazing. People have come from all around the world who have never before experienced yoga on a rope or yoga on a pole. And yet we just saw each and every one of them climbing so easily as if they've been doing it forever. Now, I've met some of the world's top experts in Shiva Stamba Yoga. They've been here in this campus when we've set world records. And they've said that it takes people decades to master this yoga. I'm curious, how is it that you're able to train people to demonstrate with so much ease after just, how long were they here, 21 days?
Yes, 21 days. Yes, it's been a 21-day journey. Actually, this is one of the things that everyone experiences through Nithyananda Yoga, is that it doesn't matter your background, what you have done before, whether you have done yoga before, whether you consider yourself flexible or you consider yourself strong. There's something that happens the moment that Swamiji initiates us and we experience that connection with him that opens up a new dimension of possibilities in our life. And it's really literally effortless from our side. It's independent of our practice or independent of what we know as possible or impossible. It's simple a celebration of his presence in our life.
How beautiful. And the participants themselves were sharing with me today that a lot of them came here feeling like it's going to be a challenge, it's going to be hard, but they'll push through with will persistence and do it. And very beautifully, just as you've shared, when they experience that oneness with Mahasadashiva in the form of our Swamiji, what may be hard for somebody learning to do or practicing to do in the outside world suddenly becomes like a manifestation of a power. They're able to just flow with it. Now, I don't want you to just hear me and my Yoga Swami go on about the experiences participants have had. I would love for you to hear from some of the participants themselves. It's also our pleasure to invite to the stage now the 3 members of the Nithyananda Yogacharya training program who have experienced a personal transformation in these 21 days. When they do come to join us, they're going to share where they're from in the world, what they came here expecting to experience, what they've actually experienced, and of course, what they're taking back into the world with them when they leave. Nama, are all of them leaving?
Actually, this is very much a common thing that once you come, you just want to stay back for as long as possible. So many of them have the fortune and made the decision to stay back for the upcoming programs that are happening just right around the corner in the next few days, which is the great Mahasadashivoham, which is happening. So many participants are not missing that opportunity to be part of that. We also have the 3-month residential program for all the Inner Awakening graduates that Swamiji is personally inviting everyone to come and be part of the construction and part of the building of the Golden Temple here in Bengaluru Adinam, in Adi Kailash. And also we have the 2-month residential program, which is a very unique program opened and available for the Nithyananda Yoga Acharya training graduates.
Great.
To continue their education, to further their practicing and their skills and their teaching experience, so that by the time they go back into the world, they're not considered as new acharyas. They're actually already experienced teaching, already learned thoroughly. So this 2-month residential program is highly recommended to all the acharya graduates.
That's really wonderful. And it reminds me of something really sweet that Swamiji said once during a previous glimpses, during glimpses of Mahasadashivoham. Swamiji shared that with every invitation to a program, there's a truth and there's a lie. And I was a little shocked to hear him say that. For example, he said, when you hear, come to Inner Awakening, that's truth. But if you hear that it's a 21-day program, that's a lie. He said you can come for the program, but you can stay for life. The invitation might be for a 1-day program, a 21-day program, a 3-month program, but the door is open for you forever. And it's so beautiful to hear so many participants of this Yogacharya training feel so at home here in Adi Kailasha that they've decided to stay around a little bit longer. And as Ma Yoga Swami shared, When we stay back in Adi Kailash, we experience an even deeper connection with Mahasadashiva. We soak up his breathing space a little bit longer. We eat his food a little bit more. We share the sacred ambiance and the sacred ceremonies more powerfully, and they literally become a part of our very muscle memory. Now, there are tons and tons of yoga teacher training programs in the world. Even in India, there are thousands. But I haven't heard of any other yoga teacher training that includes every dimension of life revealed within the agamas. What I mean by that is that teachers in an ordinary teacher training program, maybe they'll be taught the asanas. They might be taught the particular breathing techniques to go along with that asana. If they're very lucky, they may be taught some of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. But here, it's not just the yoga that they're learning, it's the very lifestyle of the agama. The food they're eating is out of Bhagashastra. The purification they're doing for their body is Panchakriya, Shuddhikriyas. Every moment of every day is geared towards superconscious breakthrough. Is there something you can share with us about the uniqueness of the diet given to yoga teacher trainees and the uniqueness of the day? What's a typical day in the life of a yoga teacher trainee?
Yes. As you were sharing, it is not just the aspect of yoga that happens. See, what we know as yoga is just the tip of the iceberg. We know some dimensions of it. But what happens here is that the different dimensions of yoga revealed themselves to you. Like what somebody said, my job is to make the good pleasant, the right pleasant in your life. And that happens here. You start enjoying living this sattvic life. You start falling in love with what is best for you. You start falling in love with everything that is bringing your consciousness higher, helping you have the conscious breakthrough, helping you have the powerful cognitions, helping you have the breakthroughs that we constantly feel limited through the body. All the limitations of the body, the limitations of our mind, we start enjoying the right over the pleasant.
Wonderful, Ma. That is so great to hear. And now, I'm excited to introduce to you 3 of the recent participants here in this Nithyananda Yogacharya training program, Kyung, Pallavi, and Sinduri. Please come. Nithyanandam.
Nithyananda.
So Kyung, we'll start with you. Can you share with us a little bit about your background? Where are you from? What did you do, and how did you discover Nithyananda Yoga?
I'm actually already a yoga teacher, but from a different discipline. So my interest is always about wanting to heal other people using body physically and emotionally through yoga. So then in January, one of my also Swamiji's disciple, he actually attended the January. He told us that this Nithyananda Yoga that has the Shaktis. So that really interests me. Initially, I know a little bit about Shiva Stamba and Kundalini Raju, and then he shared quite a bit of information, including my sister was sharing. She was quite excited about it. Then she was telling me this program and all that. When I heard the Shaktis, that really ignite my interest to attend this. That's the reason why I'm here now.
That's great. Now, I've heard from some of your fellow participants that you've had some profound experience with body scanning and mind reading. I think that it's one of the greatest dimensions of a yogacharya who is ordained in Nithyananda Yoga, that instead of just helping somebody achieve fitness, you can also go beyond the ordinary, look at their body and immediately see what's right, what's wrong, what needs to be realigned. Can you share with us what was the breakthrough that you had using the power of the third eye to scan someone's body?
The breakthrough is when you do body scanning, because for a long time I always believed that when we have physical issues like knees, sometimes like people have back problems and all that. For a long time, even before I met Swamiji, I always feel that emotionally, on the way our thought current is, affects the physical body. So it actually manifests into that kind of a diseases, as what Swamiji said, mentioned. So when I heard about the satsangs and all that, so he actually confirmed that it very much informed. So that's why my interest is always observation of body language, how people practice and how it affects. So when I was initiated by Swamiji on this Shaktis, I really enjoyed it because it's just not just telling me the physical body. Sometimes even he gave me the Shaktis to be able to tell the past, the relationship of why the person acted in a certain way of certain thought current, and the relationship. Usually somehow I always get people that has relationship challenges with their parents or even their grandparents. Sometimes he allows me, he gives me that kind of information. So that when I reveal that to them, they realize that they have these blind spots, these huge blind spots, and then it's not only just telling them what the problem is. I think the best thing about the Shaktis is that we are able to, Swamiji give us the solution. I think that is the biggest thing, that the big difference about the Shaktis.
Wonderful. And I know I can tell you from my own perspective, if I had the choice between a yoga teacher who's been trained in great athleticism and flexibility and strength, or a yoga teacher who has athleticism, flexibility, strength, and also Shaktis, it's a very obvious choice. Go with someone who has Shaktis. So I'm so happy to hear, Kyung, that the purpose for which you came here, to get these powers of the third eye, through Swamiji's initiation, you're now fully expressing them. That's wonderful news.
Thank you.
And Ma Pallavi, those of us who are here in the Adinam, we already know you. I've seen you in previous programs. But it's such a joy to see you back again now for a Nithyananda Yogacharya training. Tell me, Ma.
Thank you, Ma.
You're very welcome, Ma. How did you make the decision to be here for this program now? And how has it matched your expectations coming in?
Okay, so a little bit about myself. So I have been freelancing as a fitness instructor for like 3 years now. And I am also into, I have like a cruelty-free organic vegetarian cake business. And I've been doing this for about 5-6 years now. So I've always been interested in exercise and eating right. So I've always wanted to come here and do the Nitya Yoga teachers training. And that's what brought me here. And I've had so many breakthroughs in this program. I came thinking that I have come for a yoga program, but I've come to Swamiji, so it is so much more than that. I overcame a lot of fears in this program. I came with this whole cognition that I'll come here and I'll do like a lot of yoga. But once I was here, it was a totally different game altogether. So many fears came up. A lot of my childhood came up. I've had like a troubled childhood where I was like abused for a lot of years. So every single time, I thought I was complete with those things. I thought I had already done completion with those things, and they were behind me. But I experienced those fears on such a deep level that it completely shook me. And I had like tears coming out every single time I had to struggle in a certain asana, especially on the Shiva Stamba. But Swamiji was with me the whole time, and a lot of it went away, and there was so much more, actually.
Yes, Ma.
Yes.
Actually, I can say, as someone who's known you for a number of years now,
Yes.
the lightness and the joy in your face is something like I've never seen before.
Yes.
And with Swamiji, of course, we can complete something on the mental level, and we can complete something in the spiritual layer. But we have so many dimensions of ourselves, so many different bodies. My Yoga Swami, I want to ask you specifically what Pallavi is sharing here. How she had childhood insecurities and fears, and incompletions come up while on top of the Shiva Stamba pole and while moving the body physically. Can you share with us something about how the physical body holds our negative experiences and maybe shed some light on how it is that through the yoga teacher training she was able to complete these.
Definitely. See, Somiji has explained that we store memories, not only, we store them in different layers of ourselves. We also have what is a muscle memory. You might have completed psychologically, you might not suffer with it, but it is stored as your memory in the muscles. So many times based on these experiences, we generate certain parts of our body to be a certain way, whether they're stiff or you're not flexible, or you're not good at dancing, or you might develop some actual physical condition, even tumors. That is nothing but stored memories, samskaras, in the layer of the muscle memory. So through the Nityananda Shiva Stamba Yoga, through the Kundalini Raju, through the Nityananda Yoga, Rajashekara Vinyasa Krama, we actually go deeper into all of this with the awareness of oneness with the source. So naturally, whatever is not oneness with Sadashiva has to come out, right?
Yes, ma.
So that is the sinking in that happens when you're doing the teacher training. Your body has to radiate that oneness with Sadashiva, especially as an acharya. It happens to a participant, but as an acharya, we're actually becoming an extension of Swamiji. We're becoming his extension. So the whole muscle memory is actually completely getting deprogrammed from all the samskaras and all conditionings and vibrating at the highest frequency of oneness with the source.
That's really beautifully explained, ma. And that explains why you had the feeling, Pallavi, that you were already complete with these past experiences. So maybe on every dimension, so it's possible that on every dimension, other than the physical muscle memory dimension, you had fully done the completion. Now, when you sit on the Shiva Stamba pole, or while you're climbing that Kundalini Raju rope, is the experience different than it was when you first started?
Yes, it is definitely different. I realized that the struggle was so much for me. So I just wanted to be friendly with my body. And I don't know what oneness truly is. I mean, I can't define it, but I've definitely experienced friendliness towards my body. And another thing that I would like to share is I had biggest trouble actually with communicating. And I had this lower identity about myself, even though I would not show it to anybody. And I think Nityananda Yoga helped me complete with that. And it made me like shed away so many parts of me, and I feel lighter.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And actually, it's kind of funny that you're sitting there very beautifully, articulately, confidently sharing your story, saying, I have a problem with communication. I don't think any of us would believe that, because you're speaking like such a natural now. And I was actually shocked when you said that you have difficulty expressing yourself or standing in front of a crowd. Here we have easily a few hundred people in the hall. Who knows how many watching online? And you have such a beautiful, sweet presence. I'm sure every single one of them can relate to you and appreciate what you're sharing. It's such a treat to listen, ma.
Yes, it's just Swamiji.
Absolutely, it's
Yes.
through Swamiji. That's what oneness is all
Yes.
about.
Yes.
And I really look forward to seeing your progress as a Nityananda Yogacharya.
Thank you.
My pleasure, ma. Now, Ma Sinduri.
Nityanandam.
Nityananda, ma. It's such a joy to finally meet you at this program. Actually, before I ask you any questions, I just want to share with everyone. From the time I first started my university career in Vancouver, I was really, really, really one of those loner artist kind of types. Nobody would expect that one day I'd be sitting on a stage like this. I was more like Pallavi, very shy, very nervous. I would basically live with my thoughts, with my sketchbooks, and with my journals. And my absolute favorite journals I found in a shop in Vancouver. And without knowing anything about Hinduism, I naturally picked a book that had Ganesha on the cover. And whenever that book got used up, I would pick another book with Ganesha on the cover. And these became something like a solace for me. It was years later, one of the members of the Nityananda Vancouver Sangha saw me writing in one of these little books, and she said, "Oh, do you know Ma Sinduri?" And I said, "No, who's Ma Sinduri?" And she said, "She's the owner and the creative designer who owns the company of the journal that you're using." So, I mean, I've been a fan of you for years, and now that I know more of your backstory, I'm an even bigger fan. I would love for you to share just a little bit about where you come from and what you've done in life that's led you to the Nithyananda Yogacharya training with all of our viewers tonight.
Yes, I left India at 23 to go and study respiratory physiology, lung physiology. I wanted to experience becoming a vet, but life took me in other directions. And then I wanted to express a creative side of me, and so I'm now art director of Paper Blanks. And that company was successful. It allowed me to express a dimension of me that was exciting. It was also the expression of oneness where I had to get myself out of the way, and what got created was magical. So that was a really wonderful experience. I then got cancer in 2010, and I found Swamiji looking to do the Kailash Yatra. So the first time I met Swamiji was during the Kailash Yatra, and before that I did an inner awakening. And that's essentially my journey to Swamiji.
Yes.
Now, I was asking the question, if I had a week to live, what would I want to experience? And the answer came up very strongly. I wanted to experience the peak potential of this body and mind.
Wow.
So it was yogic body, Vedic mind, and at that time Swamiji was talking about Zen living,
Yes.
but ultimately it translated to living like the avatar. So I picked NYTD. There was no doubt. It just came up so strongly to experience it through NYTD.
That's so
Yes.
beautifully said, Ma. Actually, any aspect of your life, yes, that definitely deserves applause.
Yeah.
See, I've met so many people at inner awakening programs, at Mahasadashivoham, at teacher trainings, and everyone has something unique, something amazing about themselves. But in your case, it's like there's 50 people's worth of amazing experiences all wrapped into one. I could listen to you speak all night, but unfortunately we don't have all night for this. I do really love the way you shared, asking yourself the question, if you had 1 week to live, what would you want to experience? And experiencing the peak of this body, the peak of this mind, is something so profound and beautiful, because a lot of people, Swamiji has shared with us, in their spiritual journey, they start to resent their own body, feel incomplete with their body. They want to drop the body and experience something beyond the body. However, yoga is about existence itself coming into the body, experiencing everything through this form. How do you feel your training now as a Nithyananda Yogacharya fulfills that yearning that you had come here with?
Oh, it's been absolutely first-hand experience where Swamiji described divine gushing through. And that was the most amazing experience, to experience the Shiva Stamba as this deity that was guiding me, and the oneness with it. And also the Kundalini Raju Yoga, where I would never have imagined, going upside down, inverted position, falling on my head, getting back up. And just the effortlessness of it was the magic of it, where Kundalini energy would just gush through. And finally breaking through the tiredness and boredom around yoga. I would attempt yoga and then not want to do it after 2 days, and then go back after 2 days. The consistency of it just never stuck to this body. But finally with NYTT, it was been the gift of NYTT and Swamiji that the oneness has given me the gift of this effortless experience and an expansion beyond words. Yes.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that, Ma. And actually, the yo-yo effect that you're describing, this a couple of days doing yoga, a couple of days not, sometimes sticking with it, sometimes dropping it, that's a tendency so many of us have, especially when we're in the outside world. Swamiji has explained once the reason for a 21-day Acharya program is that it takes 21 days for anything that we do to become a pattern, a habit within us. And that when we've done something consistency for 21 days, it's become effortless, a part of our muscle memory. So I'm really grateful to hear all of your experiences, and I look forward to hearing how your journeys with Nithyananda Yoga continue.
Thank you. Thank
My
you.
pleasure, Ma. Thank you so much. Nithyanandam. Ma Yoga Swami, I can see why every time I see you in the campus, you're skipping around, lightweight, filled with joy. You must be experiencing so much life satisfaction when you see the way Swamiji blesses participants like this?
Yes, that's one of the biggest joy really is I always feel like teaching is like healing. If you've been initiated into healer's initiation by Swamiji, every time you heal somebody, you experience that ultimate, all the benefits, all the energy, all the bliss, all the joy. You experience so much of healing in you so that healing happens in others. The experience for being an acharya, being Swamiji's acharya, as a Nithyananda Yoga acharya, is the same. It is experiencing that oneness with Swamiji and how Swamiji, everyone's enjoying that oneness with Swamiji multiplied. So it's one of the greatest pleasures and greatest joy, and I feel so blessed and so grateful. And literally, I just, I really don't have words to describe how much gratitude I feel to be living here in Adi Kailash and have the opportunity to see so many people's connection to Swamiji and be just part of this whole beautiful journey.
That's so wonderful. And I know there are other members of the Nithyananda Yoga team who echo that same sentiment, two of whom have become quite prominent in the world of social media, Shri Nitya Dhridananda and Ma Nitya Prasidananda. I can tell by the wild cheers and whistles and applause that you're both very popular among the Balasants of the Nityananda Gurukul and also with the program participants. So Shri Nitya Dhridananda, you have a popular channel on YouTube called The Blissful Athlete. And I know it's in your background, you were a professional ice hockey player in Canada. You've made the beautiful transition from a blissful athlete to a blissful yogi. And I would love to hear a little bit about the journey that's brought you here, and especially how you would compare the competitive nature of a team sport played on the ice to the super conscious breakthrough people experience when they're climbing the Shiva Stamba pool.
Yes, so in a past life, I was a professional ice hockey player, and it's safe to say that that being is no longer in this body. If he saw this person, he would have been like, who is this guy? And so it's safe to say I've evolved in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different dimensions, and surely that's only to the grace of the Guru, Swamiji. And so how this all happened was really, I had some success with the outer world. I achieved success in the athletic domain of ice hockey, but I just got to a point in my life where I was not satisfied. I wasn't satisfied by traveling and even experiencing all these different cities, and I eventually hit such a low that I was finally open to spirituality, because I was never a spiritual person. And lo and behold, Swamiji entered my world through YouTube and gave me this experience of super consciousness, just a fraction of a second.
Wow.
And it brought me here to India. I jumped and took IA right away. I had another great experience. He blessed me with the experience of enlightenment. And all of a sudden, it was just like I had this whole new understanding of what reality really is.
Wow.
And like you had mentioned, that whole space of duality with competition, which I grew up in, it was very ingrained in me to have this sense of, there's an opposition, and I need to fight, and I literally need to fight somebody. And I got to a point in my life where I started to realize that Advaita is the only truth, and oneness is the only truth. So like you had said, that transition from a hockey player playing competitively to this yogi who's just uniting with Sadashiva on the Shiva Stamba pole has been quite the experience, and it's just such a blessing to be able to not only practice this ritual on a daily basis, but introduce this to those beings out there that were following kind of the same path that I've now walked. And so it's a beautiful way to introduce the world to Swamiji and to Sadashiva and to Hinduism.
Yes. Wonderful. And I mean, I also grew up in Canada, so I know being a professional hockey player is basically the dream of every little boy there. They want to wear the team colors, they want to hear people cheer for them. A lot of them even enjoy the violence on ice. They want that kind of an outlet, they want the parties, they want the travel. Hearing that in your experience, that wild lifestyle left you feeling an openness for spirituality, craving for something more. I'm curious to know, you said that if the person you were back then saw the person sitting in front of us now, maybe not person, maybe divine superhuman sitting in front of us now, he'd react with a thought like, oh, who's this guy? That makes me wonder, if you could go back in time and give darshan to yourself back then, give a visitation to your former violent hockey-playing party boy self, what would you tell him about the higher possibilities in life?
I don't know if I would have listened. I would definitely say that the divine is real. It is somehow in this human form. I know it's hard for you to understand this, but just take a chance and come to the land of spirituality itself and experience it for yourself, because it's not some words, it's nothing like that. It's just an experience, and it's only sitting here waiting for you to experience. This is the purpose of life. Come, trust me, forget about my hairdo.
Forget about your hairdo. So you don't think your former self would have liked the Shiva Jata?
Oh, no.
Aw, that's too bad. So assuming there are some hockey players or hockey fans out there who one day see this video, sharing with them that this is the purpose of life itself, whether they're ready and in that space of listening or not, I think it's a very important conversation we have to have with the world. And especially when Swamiji shares that the lifestyle given by Mahasadashiva is the ultimate. And even if we want to see the perpetuation of life on planet Earth, we have to move back towards the direction of a holistic, pure vegetarian, organic living. So I can't help but notice the immense size of your muscles. As a pure vegetarian, what would you tell those people out there who still believe the myth that you have to eat the bodies of dead animals in order to get protein?
Yeah, that was certainly something that was difficult for me to grasp at first. Being an athlete, it was important for me to build muscle and to be strong. And so when I decided to stop eating meat, I was definitely concerned about how I was going to get protein, just like every other fool that's thinking that's a meat eater and thinks that the only source is meat. And I have to admit, I didn't do it right. At the very beginning, I lost weight, I got really skinny, and then I got smart about it, I did some research, and it was really perfect because I had an experience where I was really skinny and I put on a bunch of muscle simply from eating vegetarian food.
Wow.
And even I just learned today through the Agama team, the team that's reviving some of the ancient scriptures, that Sadashiva, the diet that he's talking about, is loaded with beans. It's loaded with a lot of healthy nutrients that have a ton of protein in it, and so it's just so obvious that protein is not an issue at all, and there's so many different sources out there that you can get it, and it's actually incredible how many messages I get on a daily basis on, how do I get protein, what can I do, and it's just eat beans. Like it's such a simple solution. Have some beans, even grains have a lot of protein. So it's just a conversation that people really need to wake up and understand that you don't need to be eating meat, and it's a terrible way to, treat the humanity, or not humanity, but the environment in general.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm very happy also to see next to you your beautiful wife, Ma Nithyananda, and Ma Prasida. Nithyanandam. I was actually shocked one day when I was chatting with Ma Prasida about my own personal experience with yoga. I was telling you that before coming to Swamiji, I was never very athletic, not really that into any form of physical activity. And I was expecting you to say, oh, I was exactly the opposite. I would jog a mile every day. I would do this yoga, that yoga. But you actually said you were like me. So you haven't always been a yogini. You haven't always been climbing the pole. Tell me, how did you experience the breakthrough where now you are the acharya conducting the sessions, training the teachers in Kundalini Raju?
Yeah, I had a very different past life than my husband did. I was not so much involved in the world of sports or physical exercises or activities. I was really a very intellectual person, total nerd actually. I was very academic. I graduated at the very top of my class. I had the highest grade point average of everyone that I knew. And I went to one of the top universities. And I really was so much involved in a lot of activities, working and doing a lot of, I just loved learning and really absorbing as much knowledge as I could. And I was very, very passionate about kind of what you were just speaking on, of bettering the world, of helping the environment. And I was kind of exploring all these ways of how I could best do that. I thought it was going to be through the world of nonprofit charity work. So I actually was studying this, and I devoted a lot of my time and energy toward service work in my community and internationally. I spent a year abroad, studying what else I could do to help save animals and the environment. But I was very much not connected to my body, and I always had felt like I was not able to do the things I wanted to do with my body. So much of incompletion still sat inside me. After many, many IAs, actually, I realized that I had completed so much in my emotional level, in that biomemory, from my past traumas of my life and whatever, but I hadn't completed so much of a subtle heaviness that was in my body. I felt so much impossibility with my body. And actually, only at Sarashivoham, which was last December, only a little more than a year ago, I was a participant at that program, and I tried Kundalini Raju Yoga for the first time. And I remember I got on the rope, and it was like my body was doing all the asanas, and I had no idea how it was happening.
Wow.
Really, like physically, I was moving, and I didn't know how. And that really broke my logic, and I realized something was going on there that was much bigger than I understood. And I really physically experienced that oneness, that entanglement with that divine energy with Swamiji. And when I got off the rope, I had a huge conscious breakthrough, because I realized that actually I can do so much with this body because I don't have to try. All these ideas I have of me and who I was and are completely wrong. They're completely limited to my human understanding. But Swamiji allowed so much more to happen through my body. And long story short, I didn't realize at that time why it was coming to me so naturally. Only now, looking back, I understand why Swamiji had a bigger vision for me that I ever saw coming. I never even imagined I would become an Adi Navasi or the lead of the Kundalini Raju Yoga. So everything just manifested from there.
How beautiful. And I think that's something a lot of us share in common, isn't it, my Yoga Swami? That when we come as participants, although Swamiji himself can see very clearly our potential and which breakthroughs we'll have and which departments we might be leading, we ourselves are just so awestruck and amazed by everything that it would seem too good to be true. I remember Swamiji said once when I interviewed him, the phrase too good to be true is a myth. That in fact, reality is good. And whatever we consider too good to be true, we should know that it's real and trust it. If something seems bad, we should say it's too bad to be true. So when it comes to doing yoga, whether that's the Shiva Stamba Yoga, the Kundalini Raju Yoga, any of the intense bending or the, when we need a lot of stamina or a lot of strength, if we feel our bodies are not capable of it, we should remember that's too bad to be true. And that in the space of oneness with Mahasadashiva, anything will flow so beautifully and so easily. Swamiji has also shared with us something that your experience reminded me of, Ma. He said that in Nithyananda Sangha, the word practice is a 4-letter word. He said, we are not here to practice and grow and develop an ability to do something. We are here to have an instantaneous breakthrough. So the moment we touch the rope, if we remember our oneness space with him, we'll be able to do it without effort. Now, I'm very glad, of course, to hear that that's your experience, but I'm also not surprised to hear it's your experience. As an acharya, do you see this same breakthrough happening in others? And what can you share with us about the journey of the students who you've interacted with?
Great question. One of my favorite things to share is that this isn't just my own Sakshi Pramana right now, my own experience with these forms of yoga, all 3 forms of Nithyananda Yoga, on the mat, the rope, and the pole, but that every single one of my students that I've had over the last year here in all the different programs, whether it's only one day that they try climbing the rope or whether it's a few weeks here during Inner Awakening, I see them have such a huge shift and completion in their inner space, and that to me is the most beautiful thing about Nithyananda Yoga, is that it is so much more than I ever understood it to be, especially when I resisted it, when I even thought yoga was not my path. And it truly gifts that conscious breakthrough in a way that you don't have to think or try or feel like you have to figure it out in your head or complete all these things and sit and do completion and all this stuff. Is that I've seen every type of body and every age in being able to bend their body and get into asanas. And it's not even about that, but what happens through that, them experiencing that happening in their body, is that I see so much of a lightness and a joy in their space. And that's the best thing, because what clicks, what really awakens, is that feeling of ultimate possibility, and realizing that like all of these heavy beliefs that they had about themselves, or limiting cognitions, all of this, trash that we carry in our inner space, especially about our physical body. We hold so much hatred towards our body because of the society we grow up in, for most of us. And I just see people break through that so powerfully with Nithyananda yoga on the rope. And I see their bodies twist and turn and do all these asanas and climb to the top of the ceiling, and they never ever imagined they could do it. And it's all because they're in that space of entanglement with Swamiji. They're in that space of Shashtanga yoga. Because they have a guru, they don't have to practice for all these years. They don't have to do everything on their own. We get to connect to that space that Swamiji just gives us and have a huge conscious breakthrough because of it.
Right. So nice. Now I want to ask you one last question. The same way Drida has a popular channel, The Blissful Athlete, you have a beautiful channel called Kundalini Yogini. And you share your experiences, your breakthroughs with Nithyananda Yoga and with life around the avatar in general. The same way Drida mentioned what he would tell his own former self if he was given the opportunity, what would you tell this bookworm, top of her class, Ivy League student who's interested in saving the world through conservationism and vegetarianism? What would you tell her about your newfound discovery of Sanatana Hindu Dharma and, of course, His Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda?
That's a very good question. I think I would have to say, where I got so stuck, and where I think a lot of spiritual seekers get stuck in their life outside, is thinking that they understand everything just by the little that they've explored. What I mean by that is I grew up Catholic, much like you, Priya, and I was so stuck in that belief that there couldn't be anything else other than what I was taught. I never even allowed a questioning to enter my space. And even in my spiritual journey, as I finally started to open up, I went down that path of, I won't ever call myself anything. I'm never going to go to another religion. Very floaty, light spirituality, like Swamiji says, where I was so scared to label myself again, thinking that there actually wasn't something which aligned to me fully. There wasn't some path which aligned to me fully. I think I would say to just really keep my eyes open and experience things for myself, because education in the West is exactly the opposite. You're just told to believe, and that's exactly what I was stuck in. I listened to people around me without it becoming my experience. Only when I took one little jump of coming to inner awakening without understanding why at all or knowing anything about Swamiji. Actually, if anything, I was biased against Swamiji, to be honest. My brother kind of dragged me along with him.
Good for him.
I really only saw then, because I started tangibly experiencing what all these truths were, that I opened my mind. So I would just want to tell myself to at least give myself the opportunity to experience things before I label them or judge them or have all these cognitions which are going to limit me.
That's wonderful, Ma. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's really been an honor chatting with both of you this evening. And I can tell there's so much more that's been left unsaid. So I think we'll have to continue this discussion later, maybe before another satsang. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ma. Nithyanandam.
Nithyanandam. And Ma Yoga Swami, what an awesome team you have for Nithyananda Yoga. I think it's something so many people from the West share in common. And it's only when Ma Prasida mentioned being raised Catholic and coming to a decision that she will never label herself as a follower of any specific religion that I suddenly got struck by the fact that this evening, all four of us who are sitting here to present Nithyananda Yoga to the world were born in the West. So what's your experience, Ma, as a yogacharya who was born and raised in Miami. No, not born in Miami, born in Venezuela, raised in Miami, around the Western beach culture. How does that past life of yours within the same lifetime compare and contrast to your life here as a sannyasini of the Nithyananda Sanya Sampradaya and the head of the Nithyananda Yoga team?
So I can share that even though it looks, and in many ways it looks very different, but ultimately that joy, the same joy that I was experiencing in whatever world I knew, you know, by being in the beach and just whatever all the activities that we would do there, whatever is the peak of the joy of the life outside that we're seeking, it's actually seeking the ultimate. So whenever, somebody beautifully said, actually, he answered this question so beautifully. He said, whenever you sincerely look for the truth, you land in the Hinduism, you land in the Vedic tradition. So this is what we all came to, that is the common thread amongst humanity. It's like in any field, you search for the truth, you land here, you will land in Adi Kailash, you will land with Swamiji.
Actually, that's such a beautiful way to describe it. When you're seeking the truth, eventually you're going to land here. And that's why a hockey player who doesn't like dreadlocks, who probably wouldn't listen to someone talk about Hinduism, has become one of the world's leading experts in Shiva Stamba Yoga. Why a born and raised Catholic girl who decided never to associate herself with any organized religion is now living Hinduism. And why someone growing up on the beach in Miami was able to say goodbye to the ocean in order to live here and do it so beautifully and blissfully. When someone is seeking truth, the truth will always lead them to Mahasadashiva, because he's the one who takes us to the depth of our being and gives us that experience of ultimate bliss, oneness with him, and liberation. So when it comes to a teacher's training program, the kind of yoga teacher training that might exist in other parts of the world or other parts of India is typically focused just on the body, achieving the peak physical health. But I know that Nithyananda Yoga, of course, is so much more than that. You've actually discovered 21 core benefits to Nithyananda Yoga, and specifically what someone gains as a Nithyananda Yogacharya that I really want to present to all of our viewers. Would you be so kind as to walk us through these amazing 21 points that someone will get when they're ordained as a Nithyananda Yogacharya? Thank you, Ma.
What we're going to be sharing now is at least 21 different dimensions that you open up or you realize about yourself as a Nithyananda Yoga Acharya, as a Nithyananda Yogi. So we're going to be projecting now the slide. Dimensions of a Nithyananda Yoga Acharya. Yes. So one of the first dimensions is that when you become a Nithyananda Yoga Acharya, you become also a healer. So you get initiated and ordained as a Nithyananda Yoga healer. So not only you know and you become adept at teaching yoga, but your presence heals. People with any ailment, with any physical condition, with any psychological problem will be able to get healing from being in your sessions or having a personal healing from you. The other one, very important dimension of a Nithyananda Yogi is the capacity to manifest the Shaktis, all the different yogic powers that happen through that Shaktipada with Swamiji. And as a Nithyananda Yogi, not only you know how to lead a person to that experience, but also you are just living the Shaktis as your regular life. Not just to do it as a show, as a demo, but actually in your daily life, you'll be expressing extraordinary powers. Once you get initiated, it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes a way of life. So you're not longer functioning as a normal human being, but you're actually functioning as a super conscious divine human being. Next is that we all of us get, see how we fall in love with yoga. We fall in love with the source of yoga, who is Sadashiva. And he delivered yoga in Sanskrit, Sanskritam. And we get that initiation into learning the scriptures. We get the opportunity to listen directly at the words of Sadashiva, directly from the source. exactly as he delivered them, exactly as he conveyed them. We learned that directly, we imbibe them, we chant it, and it starts becoming part of our inner space and part of the way we think, the thought current. Next is that through the Nityananda Yoga Acharya training, you'll become the one and only certified Acharya of Kundalini Raju Yoga. This is a beautiful form of yoga that you have seen today, which is performed on the rope. And it is so unique in so many aspects, and it opens up a new dimension of your life completely when you're experiencing that possibilities in your body. Of course, along with that is that you become the one and only Acharya of Shivastamba Yoga, Nityananda Shivastamba Yoga, where there's could be different type of practices of this ball, but as a Shivastamba Yoga Acharya, you're actually understanding that the ball is Sadashiva, and the moment that you touch, the moment that you come in contact with it, you are awakening the maximum possibilities and powers in you. Also, there's nowhere else in the world, wherever you go, that you will learn the authentic asanas, traditional asanas with the pramanas. And here we have 108 asanas in 1 hour. Any other yoga class you might go around the world, you will experience around 26 as an average to 32 yoga asanas in 1 hour and a half, in 90 minutes. Here, we're going through this intense sequence of 108 asanas in 1 hour. Nowhere else in the world this practice or this sequence is available. And each one of the asanas and the beautiful vinyasa krama, means the flow in which it happens, it has such a powerful effect in you.
Hang on, Ma, before we move on to the next slide. 108 in 1 hour.
Yes.
So 1 hour is 60 minutes. That means you're doing more than 2 asanas a minute for some minutes. How is that even physically possible?
See, initially, we cannot understand how it is possible, but beautifully, it starts revealing itself to you. The moment that you just enter and you decide to do it, you realize that you have to be in a totally different space, in a totally different state of consciousness.
Wow.
It actually pushes you to explore the possibilities of the body.
Yes.
It pushes you to be in a different state of consciousness.
Wow.
So that you realize that if you're functioning as a regular human being, you will naturally not be able to complete 108. You'll have thoughts, you'll have doubts, you'll have insecurities, you'll go in that direction. But here, through these 108 asanas, you're actually beautifully guided to experience a totally new dimension of life.
Amazing. So Rajashekara Vinyasa Krama, that's 108 asanas in 1 hour. I think the average outside yoga studio does maximum maybe 15, 20, 30 if they're really pushing it. Is 108 the limit? How many asanas has Sadashiva
That is
revealed?
just level 1.
Wow. So what's level 2?
See, when we're having Mahasadashiva as Guru, he's naturally not going to settle for anything else but the ultimate. Until we become one like him, until we become one as Sadashiva, we're going to keep on expanding. So actually this Rajashekara Vinyasa Krama is 1 out of 10 different sequences in which Swamiji is beautifully guiding us to that next level of consciousness, the next conscious breakthrough. So next level, we have 250 asanas in 1 hour.
Wow.
Then third level, we'll be having 600 asanas in 1 hour.
600.
And we have the Nityananda Mahasadashiva Vinyasa Krama, which is a unique form of yoga performed in the air. It's actually floating.
Wow.
You're going to be, Swamiji is already preparing us and initiating us into this form of yoga. You're going to see it very soon, in which it is performed on a stick, and actually the body is going to be floating. We're going to be performing different asanas on the air.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I just had to interject and ask about that. Let's continue.
And beautifully, Swamiji is reviving yoga as it is meant to be from the Agamas, as Sadashiva designed it. And yoga is actually a ritual as per Hinduism. So you will see that practicing or experiencing Nityananda Yoga is actually the opportunity to perform that ritual of oneness and devotion with Sadashiva. So it is introduced as the ritual to become one, to experience that oneness with Sadashiva. Next, we have next dimension is that Nityananda Yoga is the only form of yoga quoting the source, which is the Shastra Pramanas. And nowhere else in the world you can experience this direct integrity and authenticity to the source, where every single thing we do, whether it's a bandha or a mudra or a pranayama or a way of positioning the hands or the feet, the asana, it's directly given by the source, Sadashiva. So everything has the acid wash of authenticity according to the Pramanas. Then we have the initiation and introduction into the hundreds of ways. There's more than 112 different kriyas, which is a powerful gift given by Swamiji to the world. Through these kriyas, not only healing of the major conditions and problems and diseases the world is facing, but it is actually linked to specific shaktis that are designed to help human beings have a conscious breakthrough. So not only the eradication of the common diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, depression, all the things that we are thinking life is meant to be, or life, you have to live with it, you have to live with diabetes, totally not necessary. Here you get the initiation, the technique, and the exact shaktis that you manifest in the healing of these different diseases. Then we have the initiation into the alchemy products, which is nowhere else in any other teacher training or any other program, we can say, you get this opportunity. We're using the different alchemy products to manifest, to connect to the different states of consciousness, to access the different dimensions of the universe, and live a life beyond your limitations. So these are different products Swamiji is introducing to us, giving it to us and initiating us with, and you'll be having this as a way of life. So now you don't need to worry about not knowing the answer or what is the problem. You simply access all these alchemy products, and your life is, again, it's the lifestyle of super conscious human being. Next slide. Another thing is that we have a beautiful supporting Sangha, which is the right Vatavarana for the continuous expansion. Understand that Vatavarana means the right ambience or environment for all of us to grow. As Swarupa Priya was mentioning, the truth is that this is a 21-day program. But the truth also is that it doesn't end there. That is the truth. It's just the beginning of an eternal expansion and interaction as a family. You become part of the Sangha. You become an extension of Swamiji. So continuous support till the end of this life, and after there also, Swamiji is available for you in 3 forms. In the form of him, in his body, in the form of his teachings, and in the form of the Sangha. And that is one of the most beautiful things that we have, is having the right ambience for our growth and expansion to happen. Then we have the initiation into the different yogic cleansing techniques, which are the Shuddhi Kriyas, where we get to not only learn it for ourselves, but also learn how to teach and initiate others into this. Then we also have the initiation with the Trinetra Tilak, which is that oneness. It is the mark of oneness with Sadashiva, when he's actually seeing through your third eye. It is the mark that your eye is now Sadashiva's eye, and everything is available for you. You become that superhuman, and it is again practical in our daily life. Next slide. Also, of course, as a Trinetra Tilak, as an Acharya, you'll have the Shakti of body scanning, the power to scan bodies. So you will understand exactly what the body moving in front of you needs. What is happening to that being, to that body moving? What is the requirement? What is you will know it is the safest thing to have an Acharya initiated into this Shakti, because you will never push anyone to harm. You will never push anyone to being hurt. There's a lot of different injuries that happen in the name of yoga out there in the world, but please understand, you cannot name that yoga. There's definitely other things going on with this yin yoga, chin yoga, beer yoga, all these things. Forget about that. Understand that the safest thing for you, for your body, for your consciousness, for your life, is having an ordained Acharya who can do body scanning. Next slide. You're also trained into developing your profile and being able to use social media to be successful and share yourself available to the world, relating to life. We understand that life is for others, and we have to constantly make ourselves available to the world, and social media is part of the teacher training. You'll become adept in social media. You will learn how to share yourself with others and how to let others know that you exist, that you're available, and how they can experience this also. We also have the opportunity, the big blessing to live the Veda Agamic lifestyle. What does that mean? That means that just being here in Adi Kailash from morning till night, everything you do is just helping you and creating the right ambience for your ultimate conscious breakthrough to happen. From the clothes we wear, from the jewelry you wear, from the food we eat, from the smell, the rituals, so the fire homa, the smell, everything, absolutely everything from the lifestyle is aligned to bring that highest possibility in us. So even living here itself can bring so much conscious breakthrough, so much healing, so much expansion. Next slide. Of course, one of the highlights of the program is the food. People just fall in love with it, whether you are non-veg or if you like whatever diet you have used to before. There's one thing for sure, you will fall in love with this Bhaga Shastra, organic, sattvic, vegetarian food. It's absolutely amazing. The team, the kitchen team, we have to Anna Mandir. Really, thank you so much. We have an awesome team here in Adi Kailash and making all of this beautiful food that is made by sannyasis, made with such a beautiful space, the purity, the tapas, the tiaga, everything. You just know you're having the best out that is available in the world. Because in Hinduism, so much is said, who prepares the food matters, who touches the food matters, who cooks matters. So here, every dimension is absolutely aligned to the highest possibility. Next, of course, we get the beautiful blessing to be initiated in the Shiva Diksha, which is that unique initiation in the path of becoming one with Sadashiva. So it is a very important initiation in the path of every seeker and every sincere yogi out there in the world. If you're practicing yoga and you haven't had Shiva Diksha, it's time you run over here and get that upgrade. Next slide. Of course, you'll also be receiving the Atma Linga, which is another alchemy product, extremely powerful. Physically, you're having Swamiji with you. You're having Swamiji, Adi Shakti, and Sadashiva with you for healing, for answering, for just supporting you, guiding you. It's one of the greatest powerful things that you can have in your life, and it is the Atmalinga. We worship it every day. We talk to it, it answers. It's like one of the most beautiful things to have in our life, and you'll be having this also as part of the program. And also you're initiated into the science of completion, so you will know exactly, logically, how to have conscious breakthroughs. You will, one of the greatest contributions of Sadashiva, the science of completion, not only for yourself, but you'll be able to be adept and skilled to help anyone with any problem they might have. No matter what, how big is the problem, or what, how much more problems they have more than you, you'll be able to guide them to complete. You'll be able to guide them to find that ultimate completion in their inner space by Swamiji's grace. Of course, one of the most important things about yoga is experiencing the powerful cognitions. So here it is a daily, constant happening that if you're bending your body in Nithyananda Yoga, you are experiencing the powerful cognitions that changes completely the way you see yourself. As Pallavi was sharing, the way she started to develop the friendliness with her body made so many incompletions irrelevant in her life. Now she's not longer struggling with those things because she has now a new powerful cognition that she has a friendliness with her body. So it absolutely, every moment Nithyananda Yoga happens, it brings powerful cognitions. And this is the 21 dimensions. We have more than 108 to share, but these are just 21 to share with you today. And we're leaving you with this beautiful invitation to submit your application right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook Live, or Nithyananda TV Live, or even here in Adi Kailash, and somehow this whole presentation made you feel like you want to be ordained as a Nityananda Yoga Acharya, if you feel it somehow, somewhere in some corner of your being, submit your application today. Swamiji is ready to shower, multiply any effort you put in this direction, because His grace is with us. So please submit your application through this link shown on the screen, which is tinyurl.com/Nityananda Yoga. tinyurl.com/Nityananda Yoga to submit your application for the upcoming Nityananda Yoga Acharya training.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ma Nitya Yogananda Swami.
Yes.
And I think it's safe to say nobody in their right mind could see this 21 amazing dimensions of a Nityananda Yogacharya and not want to be ordained. It is so wonderful to see the original yoga from the source, yoga from the Vedagamas, revived once again on planet Earth by Mahasadashiva himself in form, our Guru, our beloved avatar, His Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda. Being here in his energy field, being ordained as one of his own acharyas, like Ma Yoga Swami had shared with us, it's really, truly the ultimate, and it doesn't end when the program ends. So you'll always have the support of Nityananda Sangha, Nityananda Dhamma, and Nityananda himself with you, guiding you, empowering you, and carrying forward all the blessings Swamiji will shower on you into the world. So please don't miss out on that. The next Nityananda Yogacharya training will begin on 14th April, as you can see on your screen. But even before that, starting on the 31st of March, just a few short days from now, we are having the next Mahasadashivoham. And of course, Nityananda Yoga will be an important component within Mahasadashivoham. Every day you'll have a yoga class. You'll be able to experience for yourself the Kundalini Raju Yoga and the Nityananda Sadashiva Stamba Yoga. And you'll be able to meet the beautiful team you've seen with us today, Ma Nitya Yogananda Swami, Ma Nitya Prasidananda, and Shri Nitya Dridananda. And if you have any questions for them, they're all going to be available for you on the Facebook platform, the Facebook page called Nityananda Yoga. So submit the intention. We'll make sure to keep that slide up even when we close this program tonight so that nobody misses out. And meanwhile, you can also connect with them on the Nityananda Yoga Facebook page, and I highly recommend you do. So I very much look forward to seeing you soon here in Adi Kailasha, either for Mahasadashivoham or for Nityananda Yogacharya training. Thank you so much, Ma.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you.
You're
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope to see you all very soon. Nityanandam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Satguru Padukarpanamastu. Om